Is this true? I asked my sister. Not now. This isn't the right time for that. Lily, you have to put Lily first. Seeing myself raising my hand at both of them made me feel heartless. I never wanted to go through something like this, but because of my annoying husband and sister, I'm left with a memory I'll never forget. They will never be allowed to see the light of day. I had promised to pick up my niece Lily from preschool. My sister asked me to do it again. Please pick up Lily tomorrow too. Why are you always in a hurry? You're at home all day. You have plenty of time. That's not the issue. I could hear my niece coughing on the other end of the line. Is Lily sick? No, she's fine. She was coughing earlier, but it's okay. Anyway, can you keep her for a while? For how long? A week? I'm going abroad. What are you talking about? I can't. Well, if no one else is picking her up, she'll just stay at preschool. You're really making things hard for me. I agreed reluctantly, thinking about my niece. Then, much earlier than expected, I got a call from the preschool. They had called me, the emergency contact, because they couldn't reach my sister. They told me that my niece, who had a slight fever, had lost consciousness and was taken to the hospital by ambulance. I hung up and rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. I'd been married for 6 years with no kids. We tried planning a family and controlling fertility right after we got married, but we had no success. My sister had a baby 2 years ago, but she and her husband split up soon after. Since then, she's been asking me to take care of her child whenever she can. She says it's good practice for when I have a baby. I have mixed feelings about it, but my niece is really cute. I told my husband I'd be taking care of my niece again. I'm taking care of my niece again tomorrow. Can you help me out? Actually, I have an urgent work problem. I need to fly out early tomorrow morning for a business trip. Is that okay? I've known the client for a long time, so it won't affect the contract. But I handle sales, so I have to go myself. All right, be careful. Will you be okay by yourself? If it gets too tough, I'll go to my parents' house. I'll be fine. Thanks. Have a safe trip. At that moment, I felt unlucky because my niece is very attached to my husband. When I took care of her before, she cried at night, and I struggled with it. My husband calmed her down, so I was sure he would help if needed this time. But work comes first. I knew it would be exhausting, and the next day, I got a call from the preschool. I rushed to the hospital and saw my niece with tubes all over her and unconscious. The preschool teachers were very upset, and the director was really upset with me. You're Lily's aunt, right? Yes. We've been trying to reach your sister, but we can't get her. We even called her work. They said she's on vacation. Do you know where she is? The director's eyes widened. So that's what happened. The director quickly explained what happened today with my sister. When my niece came to preschool, her face was red. The form that should have been filled out at home was blank. The preschool couldn't accept her with a blank form. They took her temperature in the morning and it was 37.8 degrees Celsius. Since the preschool can't accept children with a fever over 37.5 degrees Celsius, they told my sister to take her home. My sister insisted that her temperature was usually high, so it was fine. She ignored the teacher and left. After that, they tried to call her several times but couldn't reach her, so they called our parents. Our parents are at work and not home during the day. The only emergency contact listed was her parents. The teachers were confused and found an old emergency number from a year ago, which led them to call me. This should never have happened, the director said quietly, her voice trembling and with tears in her eyes as we looked at my niece. I apologized to the director and the chaperone and sent them back to the school. I tried to call my sister immediately, but her phone was disconnected. I called her over and over again, but she never answered. Meanwhile, my parents. I called everyone who could rush to the hospital. It's okay, Lily will be fine, my mother kept saying to herself. Don't worry, we're in a hospital. But the treatment didn't help, and her condition got worse. Meanwhile, I kept trying to call my sister, but I couldn't reach her. 2 days later, Lily passed away. She was only 2 years old and died without her mother's warmth. How could this happen? I couldn't stop crying as I touched her cold little body. Why didn't I find out where my sister was traveling? Why didn't I stop her from going? I couldn't stop blaming myself. It's not your fault, my mother said softly as I cried, though she was crying too. I tried many times to reach my husband to tell him what happened, but I couldn't get through to him either. Time goes by quickly, even when you're in grief. In the end, I held a funeral for my niece without hearing from my sister. On the day she said she was coming back from her trip, I was waiting for her call. I had my phone with me at the funeral, and while the monks were chanting, my phone rang. Hello, thanks for taking care of Lily. I just arrived at the airport. I'm heading home now. What would you like as a souvenir? What? What? I can't hear you. What are you doing? The chanting stopped when I spoke. What's wrong? You took a child's life. Lily is dead. Do you have any idea how alone she was? Oh no, it's not a joke. Exactly, it's not a joke. None of us are laughing. I was so overwhelmed that I had to take deep breaths to calm down. I'm sorry, it turned out this way. I didn't mean for this to happen. I'm at Lily's funeral, so come back as soon as you can. I ended the call. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for stopping the chanting, I said, but the monk gently placed his hand on my head. After the funeral, as I was getting ready to go to the crematorium, my sister arrived, out of breath, with my husband following her for some reason. No way, my sister cried by Lily's side. Why? My husband stood in shock behind my sister. The relatives looked at her coldly, but no one said anything. Probably out of respect for Lily. I didn't talk to her or my husband until after the cremation. I think Lily was waiting for her mother. After the cremation, we went back to my parents' house, and my sister faced a lot of blame from them. I listened quietly until I noticed their carry-on case. Why were they at the same place? I saw that both suitcases had stickers from the same airport. My sister didn't say anything. And then my husband spoke up. I'm sorry, it's exactly as it looks. I didn't mean for it to be like this. Is this true? I asked my sister. Now is not the time for this, she said. Lily, you have to put Lily first. I realized I was raising my hand at both of them, not just out of anger at their infidelity, but because I couldn't stand how they acted regarding my niece. Stop crying. You have no right to. I called you hundreds of times. How could you not think something might have happened to your own child, while you two were off having your affair? Lily was suffering and died. You will never be forgiven for this. You all deserve to suffer. I'm sorry. Do you think saying sorry is enough for Lily? You think you're being honest now, but you're just as guilty. You ignored my calls too. You let my niece die, and you're responsible for it. Go to hell. My parents didn't stop me. Don't ever show your face here again. You're no longer my daughter. I can't forgive you. Get out. Why am I the only one being blamed? I don't even consider you my family anymore. My sister left without taking Lily's remains. We'll talk about her divorce later. He stayed quiet, clearly feeling guilty. He gave me everything we shared and paid all the alimony. We got divorced after that. Do you think this is punishment enough for your actions? You're fooling yourself. You'll never escape your guilt. My sister and husband were both sent to prison. The director charged them with child abuse. My sister defended herself with a court-appointed lawyer, but no one supported her. My parents and I testified honestly, and as a result, my sister got a 5-year prison sentence. My husband's case was settled quickly. He knew my niece was left at preschool with a fever and got 2 years in prison. 5 years and 2 years, how can such a short time make up for the loss of a life? I feel so empty. These two will never be allowed to be free again. It's been 6 years since then. I've remarried and had a child. I will never forget my niece, but my child has helped heal my pain. I want to be a mother who is always there for my child. They say you can't escape your sins, so they'll live with their guilt forever. They deserve that. But even so, it doesn't seem like enough. Human life is too precious.